Hi, students. I'm so excited to introduce these summer sessions for you guys. We had so much fun, and we learned a lot with you all and from you all during the composition of a city music program, which we are back again for these sessions online. Due to COVID, we really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to stay creative during this time. We're trying to find ways to stay creative. And again, I'm Aasha Francis. I teach the hip hop and poetry component of the course. And this is my co-teacher, the wonderful Olivia Doig. And I'll have her introduce what she does in this program for those of you who may not be familiar.
Hi, my name is Olivia Doig, and I teach the classical art song component of this course, as well as some singing and some of the elements of music that we explore.
One of the ways that we decided to introduce each other to each other's worlds in the more intimate ways to have these conversations with artists from each other's genre. So I had the wonderful opportunity to talk to people on the classical art song side, and then vice versa, Olivia had the opportunity to talk to poets and people on the hip hop side. And so this is what we want to introduce you all to so that you can learn from these genres and also be able to create and have inspiration from the people that we talk to who are in these fields.
Yeah, and so here our first session today is about songs that move us. So I will be interviewing the incredible AI, the Anomaly. She is a Buffalo, New York based entrepreneur, poet, musician, and she's a teaching artist herself. And so she'll be talking to you about her journey and about music that moves her.
And I'll be talking to Kedrick Armstrong, who currently serves as the assistant music director for Wheaton College Opera, along with the Chicago Sinfonetta's Project Inclusion Conducting Fellowship. So he is a conductor, and he really strives to take his deep passion for music, history, and spiritual sensibility, and he uses that as an avenue for musical expression. So I would love for you to hear from him.
So without further ado, here are our interviews.
So I'm super excited to have Kedrick Armstrong today in this interview. One of my first questions is just as a composer, you know, what are like a couple of songs that inspire you or comfort you and kind of challenge you? Like, how do you bring all those things together? Because you have that experience and that background. How do you bring those things together? Like, what kind of inspires you?
Yeah, so this has been such a fun project, just kind of going through the musical brain space, and there are three actually. I have three inspires, and I'll talk briefly. The first one is actually a song by H.T. Burleigh, who is a Black classical composer who lived between 1866 and 1949. And I recently found out about H.T. Burleigh and doing research, and it inspires me because I think oftentimes when we talk about music and classical music, it's a very white Eurocentric conversation. And he wrote these songs called the 5 Songs of Lawrence Hope. And they're art songs essentially. And what inspires me so much is you have a Black man kind of, you know, at the turn of the century writing classical art songs. And it was something that I never really knew about. And so every time I listen to those, I'm like, wow, Black people have always been doing classical music. And that gives me so much hope as I navigate spaces. Another song is For Every Mountain by Kurt Carr.
Oh, yeah. Classic, yes.
Classic. And I think that song speaks to everything that is gospel music, right? Everything that you love about gospel music is in that song. And in the roughest times of my life, you can put that song on and it's like, okay, we good, let's do this, let's go. But I think there's so much kind of musical depth, right? If you peel back that song, there's so much theory and there's so much, you know, history in that song that can be studied and analyzed. And I think it speaks to the complexity of gospel music that is so that we love so much, right? It's so healing and speaks to us so personally, but it's also like hard, right? Pulling off that song is very tricky, but I think that's what I love about gospel music so much, is it shows the complexity of Black spirituality.
Yeah. And lastly, just speaking of putting things out into the world, what do you want your music to speak into the world?
I am always trying to find the line between comforting and challenging the listener. I'm always trying to find that place that says, you know, music is healing, music is community, music is love, music is, you know, food for the soul, and really live in that, and trying to find music that really inspires and comforts people. But I also, some of my greatest music experiences have been music that pushes me beyond my comfort zone and challenges me as a musician, as a person, as a thought leader. And I mean, you know, I would be remiss to not say, in the middle of such, you know, racial tensions, in the middle of, you know, Black Lives Matter and Black music matters, in this conversation about diversity, I think it is foolish to approach music without thinking of social justice. And I am always thinking about how music can be an avenue for conversation and for change. And that's along the lines of challenging, right? Some of this stuff that we're dealing with, writing, engaging with, isn't pretty. It doesn't make you feel good. It speaks truth to power, but it's powerful, and it can be a part of dialogue and be a part of conversation. And so that's always where I'm living, kind of that in between, where I'm comforting people and dealing with emotions, but also dealing with reality of the world that we're living in, and how to call people to those realities through music.
That's great.
Today we have Itina with us. Her stage name is AI, the Anomaly. You can look into her stuff. She is amazing. And I'm so glad you're here with us, Itina.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. One question we wanted to ask you today is, what are a couple songs that inspire you, a couple songs that comfort you, and a couple songs that challenge you?
Okay. It's always, those are always tough questions, but I would actually like to look at your questions more as like artists then, because there are songs in these circumstances, the titles of songs completely run out of my mind. But there are artists, like, for example, artists like Nina Simone. When she sang the song about birds flying high, you know how I feel. You know, just hearing her voice, listening to her words, you can feel like I get how you feel when I hear your voice, your tone, the instrumentation of the music. When she speaks about Black bodies dangling, you know, when she speaks about that in one of her songs, you hear the pain. Music itself is just, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions, you know, and I feel like Nina really puts me there when it comes to that. She has the ability to use her words and her voice to really take you to a space, and she'll forever be an example for me. Her, and then I moved to Lauryn Hill, which I feel like we have yet to have another one of her. Like she'll never be able to, no, who can repeat what she's done. She had a great voice as far as vocal tones and how to structure music, and how it just, her lyrics and what she stood for. She really developed something in me when I first was introduced to her in my teens, I believe. Just seeing her in relation to other women artists, she just was different, and she spoke about things that I didn't think about, and she pushed me to question things. And so definitely that. as far as like the genre that I'm in, which is Christian hip hop, Bizzle from God Over Money, his music definitely pushes me to think, and it pushes me to think beyond, think beyond. He has some very like straight out in the open, like I'm gonna say this and it's gonna sound rough to everybody's ears, but this is the truth of the matter. He never compromises with truth. He's, hip hop artist, and he definitely doesn't sway away from truth. So that, and then Sam Cooke, his music comforts me. One of his songs is Change Gonna Come. What a song that impacted a generation in the times at that moment. It still impacts me today. Even things that are going on right now, just listening to that song, it has an impact on me. The way that it was structured and everything, we can get into all of that like geeky nerdy type stuff, but yeah, his songs definitely comfort me. I would say each of those artists in their own way has music that comforts me, has music that encourages me, and commands my attention. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching these interviews today. I hope you learned something from these artists. We have a challenge for you. Each week when we do one of these interview sessions, we are also going to provide you with a prompt for you to work on from home. So our prompt for you today is the same as the question we asked our artists, which is, what are some songs that inspire you, some songs that challenge you, some songs that comfort you, and make a playlist of these and share them with us.